Yeah, these CPI reports are more important than FOMC meetings, you could say. I mean, another day, more of the same, which is great if you're holding precious metals, but even the markets, I mean, the market's going up again. They're starting to look like the European markets, a couple months ago where they started to make new highs. The S&P, well, across the board, they went higher. We'll take a look at that. We had the dollar. I mean, the dollar closed below 100 DXY. That's incredible. That's very significant. But we saw that coming a few days before. So not incredibly shocking, but still it's very significant. We'll take a look at that. Interest rates retracing more again after the CPI report. The trend is not down on interest rates. So interest rates, I don't know what to expect. They may actually go up. And we've seen this also where interest rates go up and the dollar goes down. So they could climb back up. They retrace quite a bit. We'll take a look at that. And then, of course, commodities, gold and silver, especially silver just screamed up the last couple of days, just really outperforming gold to the point where one of them's out of whack for sure. So either gold has to rally here or silver has to retrace a little bit to match gold. I think we're going to get a bit of retracement across the board. So I do expect the dollar to rally a little bit. It's a rally in vain. I think it might get to its old support, right? You got to respect the technical. So 101, 100.8, not in one day, but we may have a bit of a reversal and it may play out. That pattern may play out. And then we can see where gold and silver retrace to. And that could be a fantastic buy the dip opportunity. Anyway, let's take a look. S&P, look at this, massive, well, not massive, up not even 1%, but still another up day. We're touching resistance though. We're at resistance. So bear that in mind. Look at this. It's unbelievable. After this, it's just 460, and then there's pretty much just above 470, 472, and then we're at old highs 479. Unbelievable stuff. We're not there yet, but that just looks unbelievable. The Nasdaq looks even crazier. But I do think we're going to get a bit of a retracement day, and if we do, support should be 444. But to be honest, it's so close. It's just 2 days, 2 candles away. That if you do start to get a bit of a red day here, I do expect the drop to take us a bit lower than 444. And the support after that should be this zone here, 3753, sorry, 437.5. But anyway, we'll take a look at that later. But I do think it's a bit toppy right now. Nasdaq, I mean, look at that clean breakout, right? Clean breakout, just going higher. There's no resistance really until, let's be honest, 390. It's also a nice round number. But I do think the S&P's resistance will mute the Nasdaq and look up 1.7%. It's gone up crazy. It would not be a surprise to have a little red day today. So even though there's no resistance, I see resistance. Dow Jones, this one's weak. All things considered, look at this. It's just not even breaking out of its resistance zone from a couple of months ago. So, I mean, yes, it's rallied quite well like the others, but definitely underperforming. And even the day before, even on Wednesday, look at this, it tagged its resistance, made it known, closed at low of day, and then, well, a lot of them did actually close at low of day, but look at this, just as bad, to be honest. Even though, again, it's a green day, it's basically an unchanged day. It's basically a bearish green candle, even though it's red. So S&P and Dow, to me, combined on serious resistance should mute the other two. Now, the Russell finally doing a bit of a breakout. Well, yesterday it did, but it closed at, low of day-ish. But yeah, not even 1%, but still, still green. Again, I think the problem with the Russell is the banking stocks. And, if it does continue, if the banking stocks do continue to rally, and they definitely could, but interest rates, okay, they've been going down, which helps the banks. So, but I just think the larger picture, a lot of people know about it. And I think people are scared to touch some of the regional banks because, any of them can go any moment. Even though interest rates aren't going up, they're still very, very high. And it could be, any moment that you get another bank that just starts to go down. So I don't know. That's my theory. I think people are scared and they should be scared. I would be scared. But otherwise, close to a high of day. Next resistance for me is all the way up here, 200. Just under 200 for the smart ones who want to actually sell. Now let's look at the banks. You can see a bit of similarity always between the banks and the Russell. So I like to follow the banks from the Russell. XLF, the seniors. You know, for me, resistance is the descending line, which, to be honest, if we do continue, and I don't know if we will, because, you know, again, the S&P and the Dow Jones could end up being red. So I don't see how, well, we've seen the Russell green despite some red other markets. But anyway, if it does go higher, because I'm mainly talking about resistance here, I see the descending. And remember, it could be just before the descending. So if we look here horizontally, 35, nice number two. So maybe it starts just before 35, a bit of descending. And then when you zoom out, imagine it just, you know, for example, imagine it goes to visit 35 but never touches it, starts to go down. It'll end up being perfect anyway. So watch out there. Watch out in general for the banks. The KBE and the KRE, the regionals, yes, it looks the start of a massive breakout, but it's a bit late to the party. Again, S&P and Dow will be red, I reckon. And if they're not going to get much strength where they are. So I just think that we've had a nice run and it might be a bit too late for this, but otherwise on its own, it looks very good. So, you know, if the Russell and the XLF, the senior banks can make a bit of a move higher, you could see the KBE and maybe some immediate resistance if there's just other forces at work sort of dragging it down. If we do break out, maybe it's all the way up here, which is 40, a nice number. I didn't know that, so it coincides perfectly. So just watch this little 40 here for the KBE if we do go higher. KRE is underperforming, so for me, resistance would be still, you know, this area here, which hasn't broken out of in a long time. And if it does go higher, I'd say even 46, simply because I think the S&P, the Dow, and also, you know, nearby resistance on the other banking ETFs. So that's the markets and the banks. You know, green, not bearish, still, I hate to say bullish, but slightly bullish, but nearby resistance. So I wouldn't be chasing this, and I would call it a chase. Okay, let's look at interest rates. 1 year, just retracing like everything else. Yes, it's closed below the ascending, but I don't pay too much attention to that because it's the 1 year and it does its own thing, and it's very much green very often, whilst the others are red. It can be red when the others are green, although that doesn't happen too much. And it can miss the ascending sometimes. It's also like the EU. I remember here I had my trend line, and, you know, technically, you know, it was closing below, but then I just said, no, I'm going to readjust this just a little bit because I don't trust it. And then we had a massive breakout and everything ran up. So I still think this is very bullish. If we do go lower, then yeah, let's see, maybe back down to 5%, but I just don't see that happening with the 1 year. 1 year is a bit special. The 2 year, this is when we start to see a trend from the 2 to the 30. The 2 year is the most important one. For me, we've had a massive retracement. Okay, it's CPI stuff. You know, people are pricing in fewer rate hikes. Let's see about that. Because I don't think inflation is as weak as the data would suggest. So maybe another data release can just reverse this very quickly. And I think the market should start to find a bit of support here. So I don't say we go all the way back up to the high straight away, but it should start to find some support. Look at this. This is some decent move down. So, you know, even chaos can be orderly, and this isn't chaotic at all. This is chaos, but, you know, there's order after chaos. But here, not that chaotic. So I expect a bit of support now, basically. 5 year, similar, you know, massive spike. We have a CPI all the way back down, and that happens a lot in stocks. Huge run up, and then a huge run down. Sometimes it overshoots, but I think we should start to find some support now. Same reason as the 2 year. 10 year, we could go lower, but I think if the 2 and the 5 find support, the 10 year should find support, and still it's had a massive run, basically retraced the whole thing. So I think we'll have a bit of a sideways day in rates today. The 30 year, massive move up. Well, not really, it's the 30 year, it doesn't move too much, but we've kind of retraced the whole thing. And the 30 year, I don't see retracing the whole thing. I think it's a bit more stable, let's say. So yeah, I see a sideways day in rates. Let's look at the dollar. Just sticking to to US markets, not covering the EU rates right now. The dollar. So yesterday, obviously I'm doing this Friday morning, but you know, look at this close under 100. I mean, already the close below 101.8, sorry, 100.8 or 101. That was the big day. I mean, already we saw this before. Look at how many red candles we've had. Close at low of day. I mean, that's it, you know. But again, like everything else, I see a bit of a reversal now, not because we're at a critical support zone, and actually we closed below the mini support. I'm going to call this very mini support. You can see why. It's not just this candle, it's just below that. There's a bit of, there was prior resistance. We broke out and then we sort of back tested, but this back test here, it was finding support just above, which is bullish. And you can see what happened after, it just kept going up. But I just feel like this little cushion zone here, you know, between 99 and 100, just mini support. And I think what we might see is a sideways that, you know what, we could have a green day and then it sort of closes just above 100 or just below 100 or roughly at 100. I think we're just going to get one of those sideways day and it'll curl and then go back up and then fail here, you know, and then back down. And to be honest, whenever I draw these, it happens a lot quicker. But it's just so it's clear for you. I think we're just going to get a bit of a move back up and then back down, and then we can see how low we go. Maybe here. I think this should be our first strong support, actually. Not that it's going to reverse on that, but you know, it could, and then it maybe test this descending and then fail again, and then ciao. Then we start to go towards the more lower 90 numbers, you know, 95, and then ultimately low 90s. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. We've got loads of data, and by then loads of stuff that's going to happen in the world, including maybe more de-dollarization, actually. But yeah, I just feel like very, very short term we could have a bit of a sideways up move in the dollar. It's just been a bit too much downside. Okay, let's look at commodities. So commodities, I think, are also hitting a bit of resistance. You can see, well, you can see this is stuff, these lines I've had in already for a while, and you can see we touched 3.95. We tagged it today. Very young day so far, but you know, we opened pretty much at 3.95 and we're going lower. So resistance is working here, just below 3.95. And you can see why I have this here. It's the last high on the last rally. So, and also coinciding perfectly with the dollar move. So that totally makes sense to me. How far lower do we go? Don't know. It doesn't matter. Watch the dollar. Otherwise, you should find support at 3.8. I didn't see it going that low. But copper finally is a chart that is looking a lot more readable, eligible. All right, so natural gas, this is the one for me where it's just not making sense. Now, obviously, it doesn't follow the dollar story. That I know. Natural gas is independent to everything for me, but it's just chilling out around here a bit too much. 2.5, you know, basically the lows of support. And it's not great, is it? Because if we start to close below 2.5, it's going to go a bit lower. And then we're back in the low twos. And that's annoying because I was under the impression we were going to have a bit of a squeeze. So maybe this is just messing with everyone. And hopefully it's trying to mess with some technical traders. You've got some people out there maybe who want to just stop people out at 2.5 and then it reverses and closes above 2.5 and then we can rally back up. Maybe there's a little washout that's needed here, but I think a lot of people have just went long natural gas and that's probably what it's doing, is trying to squeeze them the other way. But it doesn't look great, and I'm looking for that close, a clean close above the descending. And then let's go, you know, let's go. I'm getting bored of, not bored, but just getting a bit upset with this. So but anyway, I'm holding. I've got 2 out of 5 buys if it goes lower. You know, before I had my 2 buys, I was happy, and I was happy to have my 3rd buy below 2. But now if we flush this and go back down to low 2, I'm gonna buy my 3rd tranche in the low 2s again. And if it flushes, then 4 and 5 will be, you know, in the 1. And I think that'll be a generational steal if we can get it down into the 1. So I'll have all my buys if we start to go into 1.5 zone. I'll be loaded. But yeah, it's just to say if we do flush, I will buy, you know, maybe 2.2-ish, 2.2 something. You know, at that point, I might start drawing a little ascending. It doesn't have to be too accurate. And buy, you know, 2.2 something. So I'm ready to buy my 3rd tranche in the low 2.2s, if that makes sense. But let's see, maybe all is not lost and it can just make a nice reversal. Oil, keeps going up. So this one has really been good ever since the breakout of the descending. And I still stick with 80, maybe 82. It's not just going to go like that. Like today, the dollar will be up. Oil's had a nice run. Maybe it's a bit of a sideways red day. Maybe it retests. There's no problem with that. That would make sense. Not in one day, but by Monday, it's back down 74, and then we go back up, sideways up. Won't take that long. Again, this is just so it's clear, but I still think oil's going back to 80. Actually, I think it's proved its point. I've said that already, and ever since the breakout of this, I think it was clear it wanted to make a bit of a move up. So that looks fine. Uranium up. Well, the dollar's down, it goes up with the rest of the commodities, and the market's up. So this makes sense. There was just that one day where I thought, my goodness, are we really going to get it all the way back down? That would be great, but no, back up. So uranium, if the market goes up and the dollar goes down, then it should keep going up. Today, to be honest, if it's a sideways day, it would make sense. We're kind of at very mini resistance, this sort of zone here. Whoops. You know what I mean? Just here. Very mini resistance. God, I did it again. I messed it up. I meant really here. If the dollar rallies a bit, the market goes down, maybe uranium just doesn't have a green day. But if it hovers there, it could make its run back up to the almighty 24-ish zone. That would be, and once you break that out, honestly, you're going to go to you're going up. So, but already the breakout of this descending was good enough. So uranium makes sense so far. But again, today, I think maybe a bit of a reversal day or a sideways day at least. Gold and silver. Well, more green days, but you have to admit gold is running out of steam here, 1960-ish. Now, I thought we might rally to high 60s, let's say, to test 70. But okay, we're 1965-ish, $5, $5 or $4 away from where I can see a bit of resistance, a bit more resistance. But you can see these are just the tails. The opening and the closing of the days was really 65-ish. So we're there. You don't have to be, $5 from a number like 1,965 is nothing. But again, if the dollar goes up today, which I think it will do, you can imagine gold going down a bit or just having a sideways day, sideways red day, if I can call it that. Where's support? Prior resistance becomes support. So 1940-ish, maybe just below 1940, maybe a bit higher. So I'm just going to say 1940-ish. We're not going to get there in one day, but I expect a bit of a red day, maybe low of day, 1950 something. So nothing crazy. I think the trend is now up in the medium term, let's say, and the long term. But short term, you could have a bit sideways down, just retracement, healthy retracement. Then it'll look good, Imagine you bounce there and then you start to go back up, and then it just looks like it wants to power up. So yeah, gold just sideways, slight red, I expect today. Silver, though, this thing is just, you can see already the outperformance. I mean, gold hasn't even cleared this body over here, and silver is just not even stopped to say hello. It's just right up. Now, that's amazing. But and to be honest, the stocks didn't perform as well as they should have with silver being up this much, but silver should be a little red today. And yeah, 24.5. I think it would even go a bit lower because it's just been a bit too crazy. I'm not sure. I think we may find ourselves in no man's land a bit. Like it almost wants to test 24, but won't get there. I just feel like it would go into the 24.3-ish zone if we do have, not today actually, but if there's a bit of retracement, with gold going to 1940, if we do have the dollar rallying back to its old support of 101, let's say, then yeah, gold sort of touching 1940 but rallying, having a nice sort of bounce off that 1940 zone and then ending in the 1950s. If that sort of thing happens, the silver could go into the low 24s, but then rallying also and closing still around this level here, 24.5. I don't know, you know what I mean, a dip. Let's look at the otherwise great, next resistance, by the way, not that I think we're going to go higher today or even on Monday, but yeah, it's really 26. It may stop off at 25.5. It's really 50-cent increments for me. The miners, look at this. Beautiful. Kissing resistance, totally makes sense. Now a bit of a retracement back down, and then let's see if we can rally again, just like gold and silver, retracement and then rally. But that looks really good. I didn't even take a look at the GDX chart, but now you can see, I mean, these lines, I've had them for a while. This is perfect, perfect. So I'm sure I spoke of the exact same levels in the last videos. Very clean stuff. GDXJ, same thing, absolutely same thing, amazing. So, you know, did you nibble anything out? I had a few nibbles of my silver stocks just because of this, and their charts matched perfectly. They had their own resistance. Some of them have moved quite a lot. I think EXK, the usual suspects on my list, you know, EXK, First Majestic, Curve d'Arlen, and Fortuna. Discovery is my other silver mini one, but that one didn't perform as well as the other four. But you know, those four were just up like, I don't know, they were up 12% in one day, and then another 2 or 3 the next day. So I nibbled small amounts because I bought a small amount at the low. So that, you know, that trade is done. So the only buying and selling I've done in this whole move is a little nibble, and it was around one of these. I think I was chasing this big engulfing day, and you can go back and check because I'm sure I said it. So this engulfing there, I thought, all right, I'm going to chase, and then it goes back down. No problem. I've already bought this zone. I was looking for another move lower. I had already been happy with the thesis of buying these lows. So I already bought this low, and I was looking for the next low. It didn't happen. We break out, and then I thought, okay, I'm going to sell that level. And how much? I probably bought around here, whatever stocks they were, you know, 10, just a bit more than 10% move, and that's done. So this whole swing trade is done. Now, if we go back down, I'll buy back what I sold here because I think we're going to curl here. So I love this swinging of the long-term investment. It's better than just holding and never doing anything. Anyway, that's the miners. You know, we're at resistance. I think we're going to go low. No, actually, today we're just going to be sideways. You know, minus 1.5% in the GDXJ, something like that. Nothing crazy. It's all about gold and silver and the dollar and the markets and interest rates, but really the dollar, and then obviously gold and silver to judge the miners. So I hope that makes sense. Bitcoin, can't ignore, massive breakout. I think it was Ripple's SEC decision. I mean, Ripple went nuts with like 75% or something. Look at this crazy stuff. And a lot of the altcoins just went wild yesterday. And let's see if, well, so far we're just retracing. And to be honest, it's not the craziest move in Bitcoin given its chart, but some of them, I mean, Ethereum had a nice run, but look at Ripple, you know, and that's kind of a major altcoin. So the Bitcoin world had a bit of a nice day yesterday. And this is at the close, I think. But actually, crypto miners, just to cover them real quick, I'm just going to cover it because I can't ignore how well Hive has done for me. I mean, look at this, it's just crazy. It's better than my gold stocks. Just yesterday, 17% after already rallying. You can see my ascending line here. I thought we were done. I thought we were going to be a bit of a drop. I'd been nibbling out the whole time, but it's still maintaining the same value. I love it. And then after yesterday, it's worth more than it ever has. So I need to, and I nibbled a little bit out. It's like 44 at the open or something at 44 and then 64. I was out the whole day. I wasn't even trading. So I had my good till cancels in. But anyway, crypto miners, and look at the other ones over here. MicroStrategy, Mara, Riot, Bitfarm, Hot 8, just crazy. And then we had the SEC decision. I don't think it was, I'm not sure when it came out. I was out the whole day. I don't even know the timings, but yeah, can't ignore that. So even though, you know, Bitcoin had a green day again, sorry, back to the daily, the crypto miner is just absolutely incredible. So I thought I'd mention that because it's done good for my portfolio. Anyway, let's see what happens today. I'll make a nice portfolio video on during the weekend, even though I'm flying to Sardinia. But yeah, I hope that was useful. Let's watch the dollar, gold, silver, and of course the markets. Good luck today.